I just paused the recording for now.
Existed. It's taken it's taken a while for these platforms to grow, whereas the newer kid on the block right here has seen exponential growth. There are some negative downsides to social media. I felt like we needed to include these to give you a better overall picture. Just like anything in life, it could be abused or misused. There-
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
We'll speak a little bit about the negatives detail later, but for example, one is a big thing called FOMO. There'll be a lot of acronyms today. I'll explain all of them. FOMO stands for fear of missing out. It's a big, especially in the youth that use social media. It's one of the negative aspects. Again, fear of missing out. Imagine if you're on the phone all the time, you're on social media, and you see other kids having fun or whatever. And social media is not always a depiction of your real life. It's not always accurate. Some people may post a lot of positivity on social media, but their real life may not be so positive. But anyway, FOMO is one of those things we have to watch out for in social media use as a user. The next would be privacy. There's a lot in the news about privacy in social media and how your data is being managed or mismanaged, how people may overshare. Last but not least, moms taking pictures. We've all been there. So now we'll talk about the types of content that are on social media. So before we talk about the platforms and kind of what they do, so we have video sharing, photos, short form videos, microblogging. So now we'll talk about a little bit about specifically each type of form of content. So the first is microblogging. We actually do utilize this in the church with our newsletter. Sorry. As you can see, it says PPC electronic newsletter, Thursday Spirit. This goes out every week. And this is just a form of keeping, in our case, church members informed, updated about what's to come, what's happening, and this is especially very useful for people who may, like, for example, this summer may have gone on vacation, but wanted to keep up with, the church in whatever form or fashion. So, having these tools essentially allows us to expand our outreach beyond just in person at church. So microblogging is a small form. Email newsletters are very, very common. And the main platform that utilizes microblogging is Twitter. So you can share photos and pictures on Twitter. And what you'll start to notice is all these social media platforms, they all essentially sort of do the same thing. There's just different communities and niches within each group, but essentially as one social media platform introduces a new type of technology. For example, when TikTok introduced short form videos, Instagram copied it. Literally, they copied it because they wanted the same users. So they introduced their version of TikTok, which is called Reels. And then YouTube copied it because YouTube had long form videos. Now they have a version of TikTok on their platform called Shorts, I think. Yeah. And they're heavily incentivizing users. As I was talking before, the growth of TikTok, they're now incentivizing their own users to use that version on their platform. So but as far as microblogging, just imagine a newsletter, imagine information spread through words. Now we have two other types of content. We have photos here. This is Charlie Trencamp at the summer mission trip. This is probably typical of what's being posted on Instagram and Facebook. Cute dog pictures, whatever. So over here we have TikTok and Reels. Let me just refresh it. So this is very, very typical of what you might see from a youth on TikTok and Reels. There's very much dances and, very much, high energy engagement. There's a lot of music being involved. These are the three main types of content. So again, we have microblogging right here where it's more word-based. We have picture-based items such as these, and then we have video-based items such as these. Now, I know what you're saying, how does this apply to a church? What relevance does this bring for this? Well, we can adapt and use the tools that we have and create something that we all could be able to use. So for example, let's see if this link will work. This is a reel I created for Potomac Presbyterian, sort of a little series we're starting to do, which is sermon snippets. So you'll essentially, here, I'll let you view it. You may not be able to hear it, but I have captions here for that.
I think the sound's muted bottom right of that if you unmute it. Right under the green, bottom of the green part.
I think into the reel.
On the reel.
Oh,
Yeah.
on the reel.
Yeah, bottom right.
See, even up. So basically what I did was I took our YouTube sermon snippet, added some nice colors and the logo, and basically took about a minute of the service and put it up on Instagram as a Reels, right? And Reels are a great way for growth right now. A lot of the stuff on social media is trendy, so it's like whatever's, it's very important to stay up to date if you want, social media accounts to grow, especially if you're running, like in my case, for example, like the Potomac Presbyterian social media accounts. But for whatever it is, it's important to stay up to date. Now, this particular reel I picked because it went what they call viral, not super viral, but we got a lot of views on this. We got about 4,000 views, about 300 likes. As you can see, there's a language here I don't understand. But as you can see,
Can you click see translation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. It might not be.
May not,
We'll
see later.
Check that later.
It could really just be a bot. You're right.
I honestly don't know. But let's pretend it's yeah. So as you can see, this our Instagram account only has about 60 or so followers. A lot of them, most of them church members. But as you can see, we have Colin Davies right here, and then we have about 300 other people that are sharing, liking, and it's all about creating the type of quality content that allows for traction to get picked up on social media sites. That's why a lot of businesses and brands and people focus on social media, just because the outreach is so apparent. So this is our social media page. Well, I'll do a deep dive into our social media pages a little bit later on. Let's see. Let's see if I can get back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so that was an example of Reels, right? Let me move this here.
On the top left, you can just minimize it so it goes
Yeah.
away.
Okay, cool. So once again, to reiterate, we have cute dog pictures, dancing, and we have microblogging. Those are the three main forms of content. Okay, so I actually should have done this. I'm gonna go through all of the various social medias that we do have at Potomac Presbyterian. So we have the Instagram here loaded already. As you can see, we're sharing a flyer right here. We have a post right here from last week at our kickoff event.
Oh, yeah.
As you can see, we're just sharing the joy, sharing what happened that day, the happiness. We have Chris here advertising our new shirts and how you can pick them up. There's so many, various types of content that we can utilize and implement and share. This was from the wine event, Theology by the Vine. There's a lot of people at this event, as you can see. This particular video is Chris. He's previewing the sermon that he's about to do the following week, and kind of previewing the fact that maybe a little bit of a difficult verse and things of that nature, just kind of to get people, interested and maybe aware of even before the service, a little bit, get a little bit of context. So we have children here. We have the summer mission trips. This is what Instagram looks like. It's a hybrid of community gathering events, informational events. There's Bible verses that I'll post here and there, flyers, And, really it's just all encompassing. It kind of brings you into the world of Potomac Presbyterian. Imagine if you were an outsider and you were like, okay, what is this church like? Well, you could see it's a very friendly community. There's lots of smiles, there's lots of events, and, of course, scripture and things that matter, that relevance.
Show that video, the new video we just did. We're trying to do these videos after staff meeting, that one, to preview.
I can't hear anything.
Hear it?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, they
when
can.
you share screen, make
Oh,
sure the
okay,
sound
okay,
is selected
okay,
so that you
got
can
it.
hear it.
Uh,
I thought it was someone doing the video.
If you do the arrow, you might be able to turn it on.
Go to the left under, see it says mute, but hit the down arrow, left, down arrow. And shoot like computer audio, so leave computer audio.
Just stop share and then reshare the screen and it'll let you select. Yeah, the
Down
bottom
below
left,
the
share
red.
bottom,
Just say, no, bottom left.
tiny box.
Oh,
bottom
share
left,
sound.
check box.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, let them hear it. Yeah,
all
sorry.
right, thanks,
There we go.
Marcia. That
Sure.
was, sorry about that.
Sorry for some people, but we'll have more videos coming up, no problem. So actually, speaking of, we'll go to YouTube right now.
Yeah, so you can get all of this if you go to the Potomac Presbyterian Church website.
So we did it, so.
I mean, for those of us that aren't as savvy,
I'll explain. We'll have a portion at the end where I'll literally teach you how to get on all these platforms and safe ways to do so. This is our YouTube page. As you can see today, we have a scheduled sermon upcoming for the 18th. Yep, it's this week, and then we have the following weeks. Like I was saying initially, the cool thing about our name and the uniqueness is if you just search Potomac Presbyterian on any platform, it will pop up. But over on YouTube, this is pretty much where we have all the sermons, the catalog of the sermons. We'll have Sunday school too here, it seems. And this is just another form of, again, social media. Now YouTube is more so, if you didn't know, it's more so for videos. It's really heavily emphasizing videos. Whereas Instagram, you could kind of have a little bit of a hybrid of pictures and videos. Now, our Facebook is the same as Instagram. It's just a little bit different layout, but the same thing gets posted on both platforms. This is our Facebook, as you can see, the mission trip. I think I'm in the mode of
Administrator.
yeah,
Never know how to get out of that.
right. But anyway, so same thing as Instagram. We have pictures, we have upcoming stuff, videos, news and information about the kickoff event. For example, this is the kickoff event flyer, and then over here we say, as we head towards the summer, we're continuing connections. Come by the Sunday, kickoff, get involved, various groups, et cetera, et cetera. Emojis are a big thing. I didn't put this in the PowerPoint, but I should have included it. Emojis are just picture-based text. So instead of me saying hot dog hamburger, instead of me saying church, it's just the blue heart and the book and the church emoji. Cool. So that's a little bit about the overview of the social medias that we do have. And again, I'll go over this again at the end so you could see how to get connected to all these. But these are the main three we use. Who knows what we'll use in the future? If this will be completely irrelevant a year from now, who knows? But the point is to stay adaptable and be willing to change. Let's go.
And what's our biggest social media platform right now?
Between the three.
It depends how you quantify it, because honestly, I would say the most important is probably YouTube, due to the fact that our live streams are going through YouTube, and a lot of our online viewership comes from YouTube, right? So YouTube, may be the most important. However, for outreach and reaching newer people and familiarizing people with the church and who we are, Instagram and Facebook might be better for those purposes. So like I was saying initially, social media have different niches, communities, different intentions, and it's all about, what the purpose of, what you're doing and what message you're trying to convey. So went over YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. So that's kind of the overview of what is social media. Now let's get to social ministry. This is a quote I pulled. It says, "A social media ministry is a form of intentional outreach designed to take your message out to the world through social media networks. Its objectives include to interact and build a community, to raise awareness of the church programs and activities, to provide content to increase spiritual growth and maturity." So this, in summary, kind of emphasizes the points I was saying, which is community building, raising a little bit of awareness, providing content. And again, this is just an extension beyond the church walls, how we can be able to reach different people. So social ministry, why? First, being able to reach church members where they are. There's many people due to many circumstances who may not be physically able to attend church. Either they're out of town, or they're sick, or they're limited to the place they're staying in. So we could just, nowadays everyone has a phone, laptop, internet connection, and it's not as difficult as it was before. Now we're able to reach church members wherever you are. So if you're out of town, or you're in the middle of something, or let's say like last week, for instance, there's a lot of traffic, or so I heard. And who told me, but
Some
she's,
Paul got stuck on, he
Yeah.
didn't make it.
I think Leslie was saying she got
Leslie.
stuck in traffic.
Stuart,
So
Dan,
she pulled up the live stream on her phone.
yeah,
Um,
they watched church as they were
Mhm.
driving.
Yeah, which is really cool. 'Cause they're like, you don't miss anything, doing that way. So being able to reach church members where they are is a big why. Help educate the Christian faith, of course. If you're on platforms with billions and millions of users, of course, many of them may not be faith-based, or many of them may not, really know anything. So if they're not aware, we can help educate through posting Bible verses, posting sermon snippets, posting clips that lead to the full sermons. So it's kind of like they're able to step into our world for a little bit and learn a little bit about the Christian faith, what we emphasize, what the various things we do to help the community, et cetera, et cetera. Build an online community. So I would argue that sometimes, actually, especially for youth nowadays, online communities are almost as impactful, if not more impactful than the real community in person. And this is due to the fact that many kids nowadays are, like you have many different niches, interests, groups, and things that you're interested in, whether it be, certain video games, certain books, certain clothing, stuff like that. And then being on social media on your phone sometimes can feel like, oh, I'm able to tap into these different worlds when I want to. We'll talk a little bit later on about how how online church ministry can specifically help youth. But to reiterate, reach church members where they are, help educate the faith, build an online community. To continue on conveying the church, the ministry's vision. So I included our core, our motto, caring for all with faith, hope, and love. This is in the bio for all our social media platforms. It's the motto that we emphasize at the church. And we're just conveying, again, what we believe in, what we stand for, and it helps people get the overall message and picture of what the church is, what we're doing. And then, of course, outreach for events and services. So social media is a great way to post the flyers, post events, post details, talk about, the time, the date, certain groups that are hosting the activities, et cetera, et cetera. So social ministry is a great way to continue the church throughout the week instead of, just once a week. You can kind of have a little bit of an update every day or every other day about what we're doing. Last, offers alternative ways to stay connected. So kind of emphasizing the other point again, rather than having to come to, not saying don't come to church, but I'm saying if let's say, or let's say there's certain instances where people have moved to like Florida, I think, they're still able to follow, they may have joined a new church, but they're still able to follow their Facebook, keep up with the community that they've been a part of for so long. And then it also lastly leads people to human interaction at the end of the day. So if we're able to do a lot of outreach on social media, reach new people, potentially hopefully get more church members and things of that nature, that's the whole idea and the whole emphasis of what we're doing. So it all kind of comes back around. I don't know why I included this again.
Really cute photo, right?
Great. Yeah.
I think it was to this point, offering alternative ways to stay connected. So, like Charlie here, I may not have seen him in church in a while, but the cute little dog picture reminds me of him. I may pray for him. We have the microblogging, we have Zoom here. So again, these are just different ways to stay connected online.
Mhm.
So church outreach, I included the Bible verse, and Jesus said to them, go out into the world and proclaim the good news to the whole creation. So, the world back then and now is way different. And I would even argue, like I was saying earlier, that, online can feel like its own world within itself. So, why not utilize that and do outreach there as well?
Mhm.
So again, how events, sharing flyers, utilizing information such as the date, the time, location, these are all very important, but within one picture, you can get the sense of what the event is about, the date, the time, the location, links to further information in the caption, emails and calling options if you have questions, or if you're a new member and you're like, oh, what is this event? How can I, get more involved, or what is needed to register? Do I have to pay or whatever? All these questions can be answered through the flyer, so and through sharing sermons and snippets. So having the access to I feel like it's actually a great privilege that we have access to all the sermons that we've been able to record. So for anybody, if any sermon in particular really stuck out to you, you can always go back to it, reference it, be able to reference the passages that day, be able to kind of, and also if you're looking at it from a sentimental point of view, you can also look back like a couple years and be like, oh wow, this is what we did that day, and it's kind of cool. But you have access to sermons, snippets to keep you updated and engaged, and it's available to anyone. So that's one of the key points. Anyone in the world can be able to view it. All the pages are public. So literally anyone in the world can watch our YouTube live stream, our Facebook live stream, keep updated with the events. There are certain events too where we do have this contraption outside for like Zoom, so that even if you're on Zoom, you could still kind of participate in events, which is cool. For example, like our hymn sing. Another form of church outreach is also through organizations, and in particular with social media. This can lead to a lot of opportunities and down the line to be able to collaborate and work with organizations. These are some organizations since I've been here that we've worked with: Autism Speaks, For Cristo, and Leveling Playing Field currently, and also Nana Food Center currently. But anytime we do something like this, I always make a flyer and make sure to post it and make sure to kind of get the word across that we're either doing a run, or we're donating items for sporting goods, or we're donating food, things of that nature. It's definitely it definitely emphasizes the online community, the collaborative aspect of being able to work with different organizations and things of that nature. And then a little bit smaller, we have Facebook groups. So there are like Bible study Wednesday Facebook groups. There are like if you're really, really deep into the history of the Bible or things of that nature, there's Facebook groups for everything. There's Facebook groups if you're interested in cooking, whatever. But as it relates to church, there are many church-related Facebook groups too. So this is another way you could stay connected. Down the line, I'll look towards creating I guess some Facebook groups for our own particular church. I don't think we have any right now, but down the line we can definitely start creating them. Direct messaging. So how earlier I said all the social medias are the same. Direct messaging is available on every social media platform, and this is just it's like a simplified email communication, more instantaneous. It's like text messaging kind of. This is also a good way to stay connected, and the ways the church can stay connected. For example, if someone sends a message to the church Instagram about, what's the address, or, how can I, get involved, I can directly send them a link to the website where it gives all the information. And then we also have live streaming. So like I was saying earlier, through live streaming and, the privilege of that, we could broadcast throughout the world. Now, I want to talk about the youth a little bit as far as social media ministry and how this kind of can affect youth or benefit them rather. So here's some statistics. 70% of Christian millennials and 34% of all millennials read sacred scripture on a cell phone or on the internet. So as you can imagine, the youth may not have a Bible in their hand all the time, but they have their phone with the Bible app. I know I have some friends who have an app that sends them a daily Bible verse, so they can read on the app. They can stay connected through that, through that way. We have 34% of all millennials and 56% of practicing Christian millennials come check out a church, temple, or synagogue website. So again, they have the phone in their hand, they have the information ready. They want to learn more about the website, and the new website we have is really great because it's really all encompassing, and you can get a really broad picture of what the church is and get very specific as well. We have 54% of practicing Christian millennials watching online videos about faith or spirituality. So again, kind of like we're meeting people where they are. So if the youth is growing up integrated, ingrained with, having the technology, it makes sense that they may feel like they may get something more out of watching it online or versus, being in person, because it may be specific things they're looking for. Like I was saying, like you could take a youth, for example, and they may go on our YouTube and like look for a specific sermon that really speaks to them, and that could be very impactful towards them. And then speaking on that, searching for spiritual content online, almost 60% of practicing Christian millennials and 30% of all millennials. So especially for the youth and for growth and for outreach, it's very much important to, I feel like, stay connected online, provide, the Bible verses, provide the sermons, provide information about events and things of that nature, and how they can stay connected as well. Lastly, togetherness. So church community. I'll give an example. So when the pandemic happened, my family, they go to Nepalese Baptist church. So when the pandemic happened, around the DMV area, there's like five or so Nepalese churches. When the pandemic happened, all the churches combined into like a super big Zoom, and it was like hundreds of people, and they were able to conduct sermons that way. So rather than, they took the opportunity to come together and create an even bigger community during, a time where we're supposed to be separated and things of that nature. So church outreach, I'm sure, we work with other churches too and other organizations that I mentioned earlier. This can be great because we can also not only help out other churches, we can have other churches help us out. Like if we need more donations, for example, for the sporting goods and things of that nature, we can have other churches share our stuff while we can also help them if they're in need of anything. And this, again, it's all about bringing us together, bringing us much closer, staying connected. And then we have international outreach. So earlier, you remember like the comment on the post, it was in a different language. So we're able to access, another great thing about technology, there's a lot of translations available. So I put captions specifically on all the sermon snippets so that people can be able to, follow along and read. And we just have a wider reach and availability to people that we may not, be talking to, or people that we may not even see ever in church. We may be able to have an impact. So here are some quick tips for using social media. As I said before, there are some things to maybe, think about, things to be aware of. So here's some tips. First, find community and niches. So like I was saying earlier, there's Facebook Bible study groups. There are Instagram pages that are just Bible verses. There are YouTube channels on theology, for example. So there are many ways to use social media to help strengthen your faith, to help research and find out about things that you want to learn, things that you want to be involved in, and how, in social media, you kind of are able to create your own world in a sense. So fill that world with things that you're interested in, and fill it with things that can help strengthen, your faith. Utilize communication channels. So this is really about engagement. So whenever you're on the social media platform, there are likes, there are comments, there's sharing, there's direct messaging. So when you share something, you share it to all the people that follow you. And this helps you kind of create a network, a web where if you share something and someone else shares that, someone else shares that, the person that may end up reaching may come to like a church event. So the more we're able to share, the more we're able to engage, the more we're able to comment on things, and send messages, the better the overall experience will be on social media. So emphasizing again, reposting, that's another big social media thing. So if you're a type of person, you're like, okay, I don't want to post like myself all the time, I don't want to, I may not want to put too much out there. You could just repost. You could repost event flyers, newsletters, sermon snippets, cute dog pictures, gatherings. There's a lot of people, even in my age, who they don't really want, they're not on social media selfies all the time, but they'll repost every now and then things that they're interested in, things that they feel like are important, and it's something everybody can do. So we'll talk a little about privacy. We'll talk about this in a little bit, but basically every social media platform, they have privacy settings. So you get to select if you want to be private or public. All our pages are public, but of course it's your discretion if you want to be private or public. So if you're private, only the people that you accept to follow you on the platforms can see what you're posting. So it's up to you. There's also filters. So this is more so for youth, but also for us too. We can also be able to filter certain content that we don't want to see on social media. As you can imagine, there might be like, politics or, whatever we don't want to see. There are filters available. So you can sort of, again, cater to your own world that you want to see and utilize it in a way that is strengthening your everyday life and your faith. Another big tip is definitely taking a break. You definitely don't want to be on your phone all the time. However, if you're on PPC social media, I don't think that's too bad, right? compared to other things you could be doing on social media. Some more tips: scams. There are a lot of scams, a lot of scams, especially if you're not technologically savvy. You got to be very careful. If it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Also, this is your best resource here, Google. I could do a whole class about this later, but Google, just or simply asking someone, hey, this seems kind of fishy, or hey, this person sent me a message. Be very, very wary. 99% of things are, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. So overall, avoid scams, avoid giving personal information out, avoid, giving money out, just avoid those things on social media. Some more tips. So strong passwords and posting. So on all your accounts, you should definitely have strong passwords, because a lot of these accounts, like, they do take, some of your data, like your name, some might be where you live, or like, what you might post, like things around your neighborhood or whatever. But you don't want any of that compromised. You don't want people stealing information. Now, social networks have gotten way better over time as far as security and stuff, but you definitely want a strong password. So utilize capital letters, symbols, numbers, avoid easily guessable words. Don't repeat passwords. It's very general information of how to just have a strong password. And last, always post with discernment, be kind and respectful, be aware of potential dangers. So pretty self-explanatory, like I was saying earlier, any good thing can be abused. There's, we've all heard like probably negative stuff from social media, and usually it's a reflection of like the person themselves. So always be posting with discernment and be kind, always be aware of anything potentially dangerous. But for the most part, social media can be fun. So here's the conclusion about what we talked about so far. A little bit about me, social media in general, social ministry, church outreach, tips for using social media, and now I'll literally show you how to use social media in the next slide. Okay, this is a real how-to. That's what we've been waiting for. So any app that I mentioned, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you download the app from your App Store or your Google Play Store. You create an account, username, password. You create a profile. It's your name, your pictures, your header. Follow people you know and pages you like. PPC can be the first one. And then keep updated by watching YouTube tutorials or ask me. I'm always down to help. This is a very basic, but it's a very general and universal across all platforms. They're all going to require you to download it, create an account, create a profile. They're going to ask you to follow people you know and pages you like. And then in order to stay updated, as we were talking about, because technology always continues to advance, there are newer platforms, there are newer methods on the apps of how to share, how to post, etc. Always keep updated, and also for, again, the security and privacy reasons, it's just good to stay aware. So this is, by the way, this PowerPoint we can send out, right?
Yeah, and we're recording.
Okay, so we could send you guys the PowerPoint too, so you have like all the, I know I talked about a lot, but you could have a lot of actionable things you could follow. And then now we have a Q&A. So any questions?
So, and then you say this is a meme, by the way,
Not a meme.
to be
Okay, so
distinguished from an emoji.
yeah, so a meme is literally a joke on the internet. That's the best way to describe it. So how I was saying earlier, there are communities on the internet. There are memes that are very specific, very referential, very like insider jokey. This is not really a meme.
It's an emoji.
It's not a meme. Bad example.
I thought it was a meme.
The message is a meme.
Can be.
Okay. Yes, we should.
And everything's a meme. Yeah.
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 Is everything an emoji then?
No.
Not-
Can be a meme, but not an
Emoji is
emoji.
it's like a font. There's only so many that are made. They get added every year.
Is there any protection, like when we see sermons online and so forth? And they're, I guess, saved for several years,
Forever.
forever, but there's.
I mean, unless
But-
you delete it or YouTube just dies, like it's there forever.
But our sermons, it's common property. In other words, if there's a minister in another part of the world that wants to use your sermons, that's
plagiarism.
accepted. I
Not
mean,
copyrighted.
is there such a thing as plagiarism, or once it's out there, can it be taken and crafted in such a way that it appeals to this one congregation?
That's certainly possible.
Yeah, I
It
think.
happens, and it's best practice is to say borrowing from, or I heard this from, and then referencing where you heard it from.
So it's available to all.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously.
technically, if someone takes sermons that were produced here and they were to sell it, and that would be like an infringement of our copyright. I mean, admittedly, it goes down to things like, unless, just like with everything, right? If I take a book from this shelf and I rewrite it as my own, well, that's plagiarism, but only going to get penalized if someone sues me for it, right? And so, like, that's pretty common, those copying and reusing. And
Yeah.
I think videos are a little harder because
There's
very few people will
yeah.
take Emily's video and say, "Oh, this is me," you know. But like photos, especially, like if people take beautiful photos, like those are copied all the time because you can't tell who took it unless you find the original.
Yeah, so.
And there's always like
sort of
dates.
Working on that.
There's always
Yeah.
dates like, oh, this was, we'll know something's stolen because it'll be like, oh, we did this sermon in April 2020 or whatever. So there's ways to verify. But just like Robert was saying, anything can kind of be stolen. So
I'm confused about the difference between public and private, because it seems to me, particularly in the church where we have a young group of people and we have a vibrant group of teenagers, I would think that most of those things should be private to just congregational members and not put out on the general social media so that they can be trolled and even worse things happen. It's basically a security question, but I wondered how you decide what is private and what is public.
So our pages are public. That is something I have thought about, and in general, my kind of thinking has been, if anyone asks to not be on the public page, or if they say, hey, can you, I don't want to be on the social media, or I don't want to take any pictures, then we'll gladly take it down and but in general, usually.
But that means
when we
people
take-
have, James, that means people have to opt out. That is not desirable, I wouldn't think.
No, so Del, we have a photo release form for all youth and children. And so all of our parents have, I believe, signed that, and we can do an update to make sure.
Yeah, not, Chris, it's not just about kids. For example, I've been fished this past week by the ABN AMRO Bank in the Netherlands. And these people are very good at what they do. And I would be still concerned about putting all of our church things in the public domain.
Is your concern about like having events that are posted that like any old person could come to, or is your concern about just like
Events have
like,
nothing, events are not my problem, but if you have Bible studies or programs or events that are just put out on social media, there are potential downsides. There are also questions about the connections of TikTok. And I wondered whether, I thought you were using TikTok as well as the other social media. Do you really think that's a good idea?
We have not yet ventured into TikTok, but in response to the previous question, for me, thinking about its attention, because everything we do here is towards sharing good news. And so everything that we promote, everything we put out is we are called to make disciples, to engage with the world, to share the good news. And so that's part of our ministry, that's our mission. So I'm very hesitant that then the tension with that is holding the privacy issues. But really it's about going out into the world and not hiding what we do or what we're teaching or what we're saying or what we're promoting or who we are. So the more people that see it and hear it and share it and experience, the better.
Does that conclude the subject?
That's my thought on that subject.
What are there fees or costs in using these platforms?
No, they're all free, but there's a saying that if something's free, that you're the product. Which goes back to what I was saying about being careful of what you post and just being aware. So there's no fees. You can get on these social media platforms. There are how the platforms make majority of their money is through advertising. So you may see advertising adverts. Usually those are specific to, again, like the niches that you're in. So if you open an account and you're just following Bible study pages and Bible scripture pages, you'll probably get advertisements that are like, by Bible, things of that nature.
Here's the Bible t-shirt, here's the
Right,
Bible bag.
exactly. Which goes back to being careful about scams and things of that nature, because there may be, you just gotta be careful in general, what you click, what you post.
Does the church have protection by malware bites in any of the social media work we do?
We have strong passwords. You can't really, you can't really give a virus to a social media platform, but you can hack it. But we do have strong passwords and we can change them, so we can avoid that entirely.
And I had just a very technical question that shows my ignorance. What is the difference between watching a YouTube and live streaming?
Okay, so I can show you.
While you're showing, Gail made a comment in the chat. He says, "Thank you, James. That was great."
Oh, thank you, Gail. Thank you. So a YouTube video is quite literally a video. So I'll show you right here.
Like watching the sermon or
Yeah, like
Yeah.
literally you
you
could
watch it. There's no interaction.
So whereas live stream, this is just a video example. You could scroll through the video. You could rewatch certain parts.
So Marnell
Go to
commented
the
on the
top.
right.
Right, and then let's go to this
Today.
morning's live stream. So this is what the live stream looks like. It says the time we have left and how this will play if you open it up on your phone. It'll literally just be a live stream. So it'll literally be like TV, or if you're watching like a late night news show that's live. So The good part about this is that we do have chat features on Facebook and YouTube. So a lot of times,
was thinking that today, I was gonna call for prayer, ask for prayers, and I can say, if you're with us online and you have a prayer, you can put it in the chat.
mhm,
On YouTube and
so far,
That would be live during the live service. But if it's online and you're watching it later, you can't necessarily put
That's
a prayer in the
YouTube,
chat.
yeah, oh,
Yeah.
okay, so it's at the moment.
And the stream
That's what it
becomes a
is.
video once it's no longer live. And so you can always go back and watch the services after.
I mean, it's just very much like, yeah, like you wanna watch the live football game, right? You don't wanna watch it pre-recorded for later, right? So this is like the live thing.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Anything can happen.
You know, our video, it's like, did we lose
So
our
it's at the
video?
moment. It's.
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
okay.
He had stop video.
All right, yeah.
James said stop video, that's why we lost it.
Oh, I
there's
didn't-
another term for
The
it.
left.
Oh, yeah, start video
Yeah.
on the left at the bottom.
oh, sorry.
Yeah,
James, do
yeah.
you have any ideas of how social media could be used to improve the music programs of our church?
There you go, that's good.
One, we could do an outreach campaign, so we could make flyers, we could make videos advertising that we need new music members, things of that nature. Once we may have, like, let's say, an adequate amount of people and we're all ready to go, we could utilize social media to coordinate practices, to coordinate meeting times, to coordinate what pieces are being sung. And also just have a positive reinforcement to those groups so that, like, if the choirs, you know, if they're engaging with each other on social media, if there's, you know, pictures of them being posted, things of that nature, that does lead to positive reinforcement to what they're doing, and help overall just strengthen that particular, like, community of the church. Those are examples of, I'm thinking on top of my head, but we can definitely do that.
I'd just like to make a comment about James. He has another career. It's not just here at the church. He kind of fits his music recording business around what he does here at the church. So it's he's got 1.5 full-time jobs or 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure he admits which one he enjoys more.
Aw.
He likes doing the music.
I like both.
I like that, yeah, equal time.
All right, I think that we're gonna try to honor the time.
Okay.
Anything else that, just a last comment, James?
You guys can always ask me questions. I should have provided I think these handouts have my email at the bottom. Do they?
Yes.
Okay, so you guys can always email me. I'm willing to literally sit down and teach you. So any questions, let me know. We'll somehow send the PowerPoint out so that some of the actionable items you guys can see it. And if you do start social media pages, always, you know, be careful, but you know, have fun with it, see what communities you like, and engage with our social media ministry, because it'll help us and the messaging we're trying to get out across online. But that's all.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Really, really informative. Now you can do the stuff.
Hey.
Do you post things?